Welcome. You're listening to the Good Girls Don't podcast with Ashley Ray
and Verity Mansfield.
This is the podcast where we smash those rules that we've been taught to follow both as men and women and burn the damn rule book. We're tackling the big issues and the issues nobody wants to talk about, and we'll be fiercely feminist about it.
This podcast is about inspiration, education, compassion, and being the change that you need to see in this world. This podcast is for the trailblazers, the freedom fighters, and the soul igniters, and all the women just like you who are ready to break the good girl rules and be heard.
We acknowledge the traditional custodians of Australia and its First Nations people on which this podcast is produced and consumed. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging.
Get ready for the revolution. It's coming to you now. It's coming to you now. We're gonna sing it, revolution. And they'll never bring us down. No, they'll never bring us down.
Verity, how do you feel about money?
Oh, money for me has always been a little bit of an issue. I remember growing up and feeling like I never deserved money, like I was never entitled to it. And it really kept me in a state of poverty for such a long time. And, there's so much shame and guilt around money and fear around money. And then when we can separate out of that, we can find this really beautiful relationship with money that's so empowering.
Oh my God, yes. And I've been on a similar path myself with unraveling mistakes, figuring out, I really took a big dive into money and how I related to it last year. And I saw some incredible turnarounds in unpacking the beliefs and just different experiences growing up. So we noticed together that women seem to have issues with money, right? And we decided that we probably should do an episode on money and how women relate to it and all of that fun stuff. So we rounded up one of our favorite ladies, Debbie Sassen. She's a money mindset coach for women in business. And she shows women how to manage their mindset so they can make more money and take care of it better. Debbie has a coaching approach that's a perfect mix of no shame, blame, or judgment, which, come on, guys, how much shame and blame and judgment do we have around money? I am a chronic, I stick my head in the sand chronically about this. So she blends all of this with the practical skills and money mindset work that helps women become leaders of their finances. She does have a book called The 1K Investor, Simple, Smart Steps to Start Investing with $1,000 or Less. And that's available on Amazon. We'll put the link for that in the show notes.
Yeah, it's such a brilliant. I did her course when it was a course, and it was so amazing and empowering. And there was so much. It was just amazing to really kind of break through all the bullshit around this fear of invest. It was so powerful. So I absolutely love Debbie. She's one of my big girl crushes. And we spoke, it was such a glorious conversation. We spoke about so many things, like you said, the shame and the guilt around the way that we relate to money and freeing ourselves of the mistakes that we do make around money. Building up our capacity to accept more money and receive more money instead of repelling it, instead of carrying around all of these silly stories that we've had since childhood or things we've picked up, even subconsciously about money. We also talked about, and I loved this because this is one of my biggest aha moments that Debbie gave me a few years ago, that, taking care of our money is a self-love practice.
Oh, yeah.
It's investing in our self-love, how we love ourselves, how we want to take care of ourselves and how we want to nurture ourselves. And not just on a daily basis, but, for retirement, so that we're taken care of. We've planted that massive seed of self-love for our future self. And also we talked about why women self-soothe with money and how that impacts our nervous system and the amazing work that Debbie does and how important it is to actually work on a deeper, more holistic level when it comes to money. So it's not just the statistics, it's not just learning things and putting into practice, but dealing with the emotional side of money. And I think that is so beautiful and what makes Debbie's work so powerful.
Oh,
And yeah, she's just brilliant. And we also learn how to educate and empower ourselves as women to be able to invest confidently with money and not just for the benefit of ourselves, but for the benefits of those that we love and our entire communities. And, you know, the more that women create money and the more that we spend money, the more that we participate in the economy, we're contributing to the economy. And I think it's such a beautiful and powerful space to be in when we can really start to unravel our money stories and start to redefine and create our own money story.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about you, but there are a lot of money stories that I would very much like to drop and replace with much better ones.
Yeah, I think we could all agree with that.
Exactly. Now, before we get into today's episode, lovely listeners, Verity and I do have a favor to ask you. We are conducting a listener survey because we would love your feedback. This show can't exist without you, and we love hearing from you, and we want to hear more from you. So we've created a short little survey that will help us to plan and grow this show into 2020. Holy crap, 2020.
It's not that far.
I know it's a new decade. It's a bit frightening, but it should only take a couple of minutes to complete. And we would really, really love your help. We would love for this podcast to be self-sustaining so that we can monetize it a little bit so it can make some money for itself. We can invest into some better things for it as well. And we really want your input on that because you're really important to us and how this show grows and in the direction that it goes. We also want to know more about what kind of topics you want to hear about because we can see from some of the stats which topics you're loving so far, but we want to know more. We want to get to know you. We want to get inside your head like a creep.
And we also just want to know more of what it is that you want. So if we have not covered a topic or an issue that is, a really sort of hot passion for you and something that just like burns in your belly and you want us to be able to talk about it, then also contact us and let us know.
Exactly. Or the other part that's in there is if you know someone that we definitely need to be connected with and talk to, there's a space in there for you to include their details as well. So please check that out. The link for that is in the show notes. We would super appreciate it. It takes less than 5 minutes to do.
Oh, Ashley, I'm so excited today to be able to speak to Debbie Sassen. As you know, for a while, I've had a bit of a girl crush on this amazing woman, actually for a good year or two.
A bit is an understatement.
Ashley wanted to talk about money, and I'm like, Debbie, we've got to speak to Debbie. But I've done some of Debbie's courses, and she's always been the one that's given me the biggest aha moments and the biggest epiphanies talking about money, I think, especially as a female. So thank you so much, Debbie, for jumping on and chatting with us today.
You're very welcome. I'm really happy to be here.
And I think what's really cool is Debbie's all the way from the other side of the world from us, which just makes it super, super cool. And I love that we can have conversations as women and collaborate and, time and distance just doesn't matter. So that
How
makes
cool
it really,
is it?
I know, it is super cool. So Debbie, just share with us, what are some of the typical ways that I guess as women, or I guess some of the stories we hold as women that make us believe that we're not as good as men at dealing with money?
I don't know if it's stories, but a lot of it is the way we were brought up.
Yeah.
Number one, we most of us didn't have role models of women who were powerful dealing with money. Even people in their 30s. I don't know today in the 20s, the millennials, maybe it's a little bit less so, but I'm already in my 50s. But there's a whole change in culture that started with the feminist movement in the 60s, 70s, where women sort of started breaking the glass ceiling, whatever you want to call it, and started dealing with money. But with their jobs, things opened up that weren't available in large amounts. You know, I mean, there were always women who were doctors, women who were scientists, women who were lawyers, but it was all of a sudden this new movement where women could do anything. But we didn't have role models. So while we were able to go out and get a high paying job, and that increased with, you know, every year, we didn't know how to deal with money. And often we repeat what we witnessed at home. So for generations, I mean, we can even look in different countries when women started being allowed to use credit cards, to have their own bank account, to have their own their own
Yeah.
checkbook.
And
Right.
that wasn't that long ago either, Debbie. That was like in
Right.
Australia. I think that was about in the 70s, where women still had to
Exactly.
have their husband like they had to approve their wife's credit card.
Exactly. So we don't, so our mothers or grandmothers, whatever, weren't brought up that they could be in charge of money. It was always the man's responsibility. The woman may have been in charge of the home budget, and she could cut coupons, or she could go to the store, compare prices, and see which laundry detergent is on sale this week, and how she can stretch the budget by making, you know, whatever she's making for dinner and creating a meal plan. But in terms of managing big sums of money, in terms of investing, planning for the future, retirement, it was all dependent on the men. So it just became this cultural norm that men did A and women did B. Men managed the money, women did the laundry, women made the meals, women did the shopping, women took
Yeah.
care of the children. And even today, women, although everything has opened up for women in terms of the types of jobs that we're allowed or able or desire having, you know, from fighter pilots to doctors to lawyers, whatever, even though that opened up for us and it's easy to go out and make money for many women. We can talk about entrepreneurs and how we have our own things going on in our head, but we can make the money. But still, you know, when I met, this is already 8 years ago, I think, 9 years ago, one of my clients who was a 7-figure earner. And we wanted to have a meeting about her investments. And she earned like 4 times what her husband earned. Okay. She's like, Debbie, I need courage to meet with you. I'm like, whoa, you know, this is what happened is women were not brought up that they were the ones who could do this. And
Yeah.
we just don't know how to do it. So it's time, it's our time. And I feel very, very strongly because most of us are going, I mean, I hate to be morbid, but the truth is most of us are going to die single. Okay, either women will never get married, they'll get a divorce, they'll marry a man, you know, a few years older, and women have, you know, longer life expectancy than men. So 80 to 90%
Yeah.
of women are going to have to manage money on their own at some point in our life. So we need to take ownership of that gift, but it's a responsibility. You know, that's
Yeah.
so there you go.
Yeah, it's so true. And I know so many women having come through divorce who are thinking about getting a divorce, and it's always the money that holds them back. It's the fear of not being able to financially support themselves or manage their own money that they stay in marriages that aren't healthy for them. So there are so many different ways that our beliefs around money and the way that we've learned to have a relationship with money affects our lives and the quality of our lives and our lifestyle. And it's funny because just, I think it was Friday, so it was about 2 days ago, my partner and I were walking through our local shopping centre, and it's a massive, massive shopping centre. It's one of the biggest ones that we have in our state. And this guy stopped us to talk about insurance, and he only specifically spoke to my partner and engaged my partner in the eyes. And as we walked away, my partner turned around to me and said, he didn't even acknowledge that you existed. And I was like, yeah, babe, I saw that.
Welcome to womanhood.
Yeah, like
And
what's behind that? Like
I know,
that's
I know. And I've even had, being divorced, I had to ring up my insurance company and ask them why they had put my car, I'd got a new car, and why they had put it under my husband's name. And I said, we're divorced. I said, what on earth, like, who did this? And they had to go back to the recording and realize that at no point had I ever mentioned my husband's name, and yet they had just stuck his name on my insurance policy as the primary person of that insurance policy. And we'd been divorced for 5 years. And
And you know,
it just kind of shows you what happens, like how kind of sexist society can be, where they just assume the man's in charge.
And you know what's amazing, Verity? That you picked that up, but there are other women who will avoid looking at their insurance policies, will avoid looking at their bank statements, and they don't even know that,
Yeah.
you know, they might have gotten the papers in the mail
Oh, that's
and, or, you know, and just like filed them or not dealt with them. And so just like checked it off of their to-do list. Okay, I did this. And it doesn't represent what's happening currently in their coverage. And, you know, it's not taking care of exactly what their needs are. They avoid it. They put things in a drawer. They put that in their email, something to get to later. And women are not taking care of themselves financially the way they need to.
Oh yeah, that's me. I'm so guilty of that. I'm like a head sticker in the sand, and like you've got to pull me out kicking and screaming, but I'll get there just kicking and screaming.
It's interesting what's behind that. We probably don't have enough time on this podcast to go into that.
No, I'm really curious. Do you think women are actually worse at managing money than men, or is it just an issue of belief and confidence?
Managing money is a really, really broad topic because there are so many different types of managing money. There's the insurance aspect, there's savings, there's spending, there's debt, there's investments. Like money touches every single area of our life. So when it comes to, let's just narrow down the focus to investing, because that's one area that I love, because I want women to take ownership of investing, growing their money, planning for the future when they retire, so they don't have to pop out of their rocking chair when they're 85 years old and go back to work because they don't have enough money, you know, saved up in retirement plans. But the statistics show that when women take ownership and take charge of their investments, they're actually better at investing than men. But
That's
getting
amazing.
them to that is you know, something that's like pulling teeth. So yeah,
And
so
that's
I
why
don't.
we have Debbie.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
Debbie,
So
what inspired you to want to work solely with women?
well, I do work with men. I know, you know, I work a lot with women because I feel really strongly
Yeah.
about women taking care of themselves. I really view taking care of money as a self-care practice. And
Yes.
so much, yeah, and so much of it is connected with that, you know, and I speak with women. I have clients in their 70s and they're panics, you know, stricken about it. They can't deal with money. I have a client, she sends me, you know, we talked about, you know, stuffing everything in the drawer. She sends me all of her financial statements. She hasn't even opened the envelope. She puts them in, you know, a whole package, and once a week or month or whatever, she sends them to me and I deal with it. And it's not like, you know, I'm not going to be able to change her habits because that was, you know, what she did. Her husband took care of everything, then he passed away. But I want women who are my age, who are younger than I am, to be able to handle money, to be able to manage money, to feel comfortable around money. Like money for so many women is a way we self-soothe, right? When we're not feeling good, we spend money. But there's so many different ways that we can actually take care of ourselves deeply by using money properly, by making money, by charging what we're worth, because women undercharge so often because they don't believe they can break through that glass ceiling, that they can, you know, be $100,000 earners, $1,000,000 earners, whatever it is. We hold ourselves back. So
Yeah.
I'm really here to empower women around money, all the ways around money.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, isn't it, when we do have these beliefs that they're not, it's just a thing that we believe. It's not a fact. And I remember for a long time carrying around this belief that I can't make enough money as a man, or that it's easier for men to make money. And I used to solidly believe that it was just easier for men. I don't know why I thought that. I didn't really have any proof for it.
Mm.
But it was just this belief that was stuck in my head. And it's really interesting when we do sit back and we realize, we really do write out about our beliefs about money. And I know that you've done this in some of the programs that I've done through you. We actually really had to sit down and think about what our beliefs were around this, what habits and beliefs we even picked up from our parents,
Oh my
and where
God,
we
yes.
kind of learned this stuff from. And it was really eye-opening.
I think that's an understatement yet again. It's
Yeah.
brutal to look at that and be like, holy
It's
crap.
mind-blowing to
These
realize
are
we
the
have all
messages.
this stuff in our head, and most of the time it's not even real.
Correct. And I would say, actually, Verity, it's not just it's in our head, but it's been imprinted, it's been wired into our nervous system. And
Yes.
that's why we react even on a completely unconscious level. We repeat the same behavior, we repeat the same messages, and it's really hard to break out of what we've learned. And there's also another reason that it's hard for us to separate from what we've learned, and that is because we as human beings, we have a tribal nature, and we want to be loyal to our tribe, loyal to our parents, loyal to the way we've grown up on a very unconscious level, because once upon a time when we were hunter-gatherers, right, we needed the tribe to stay safe. And so today, when we're no longer hunter-gatherers, but still to think differently and act differently and do differently from our tribe to break away, it still calls up all those feelings of insecurity and survival. And on a very deep, basic need, we feel like we're not going to survive if we do things different. So we have this like unconscious vow of loyalty to our parents, even when we try to break away from it on a conscious level. On a subconscious level, we stay doing the same things.
Oh, doesn't that explain a lot?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just here like, oh crap, hang on a second.
I know, I've done the same thing.
So how did you get into this, Debbie? What was it that spurred you to be so passionate about teaching women to step up and take control, especially of investing?
Well, it's all my story around money. I started working on Wall Street on a trading floor in the mid 80s. And I worked in New York, I worked in London, and then today I live in Israel. I've been in Israel for over 30 years. And when I started managing our investment portfolio, because my husband's a scientist and I figured whatever, I understand this stuff better, right? Because I'm the money person in the family. I made some investments. In particular, I took this hot tip that I thought was going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. I was going to make our fortune out of it. I don't know, whatever. And I very quickly, within 6 months, maybe less, I lost $50,000, US dollars, not Australian dollars, US dollars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a real wake up moment for me. That and other things that I started uncovering afterwards was like, I wasn't such a hotshot like I thought I was. And I started looking deeply at what was going on with our investment portfolios. I started learning and studying, and it was very important for me to understand what was going on. And mind you, this was all on a practical level, right? I wasn't yet into the emotional side of money and the mindset of money. That came later. But I became aware of what I did incorrectly. And I switched that up and I took charge from a practical point of investing our money. And it was clear to me that if I could make that mistake, I was working on a trading floor. I understood the financial markets. I understood financial jargon that people don't have. And that's a huge, resistance factor. It's just like they don't understand all these terms and all these letters,
Yeah.
it's like there's so much lingo involved in financial markets. It's like, if you go to China and you're English speaking like we are and you don't understand it, it's like it's problematic. Like, we don't want to feel uncomfortable. Our body's natural reaction is to keep us safe and not put us in a place where we feel uncomfortable. So we just don't deal with money because you have to figure out what's the difference between all these different financial terms. So we push it off, avoid it. And so I was like, hey, if I can make this mistake, then so many other people can make this mistake out there. And I became very passionate about teaching people and help them to manage their investments. And then I started coming across these people like this client who was like, I need courage to meet with you. And it's like, and that was like interesting to me. Wow, she can earn 7 figures, but she can't take charge of her money. Her husband called me. He made the appointment. He set it up in her office, right? Like, so, but she couldn't deal with it. And I started seeing this more and more. People who would get an inheritance. It was, let's say, I remember this client. She had a $2 million inheritance. But when our session went over 2 hours, it was 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I wanted to charge her for that extra 15 minutes, she went ballistic on me. It's like, wow, people are like, they have money, but they're living in scarcity. Like 15 minutes, like I know exactly how much money you have. You can't give me credit for the extra 15 minutes. And it's like so interesting. Yeah, so I started seeing, and then whether, people also in debt and people with money, without money, people not charging enough. And it became my newer passion then to go and start uncovering all this emotional gunk and stuff and whatever around money, and really understanding my money story. So I personally worked with a financial therapist. I became a certified financial coach, and now I'm also a certified EFT practitioner, EFT or tapping, because that really, I believe, is an amazing mind-body tool to help us release so much of the resistance and money blocks that we have. And I believe that that will help my clients, and I see it in action to turbocharge their ability to grow their income and take care of it a lot better.
That's so amazing. It's and I love how holistic you are about it in your approach, like just bringing all of those elements to back it up, like not just working with the mind, but like you said, working with the nervous system, and being able to, I guess, almost reroute the money messages that's associated within our nervous system, and helping it to calm down and helping to, I guess, reprogram it almost, so that we don't have the same responses or automatic responses or reactions to money that we normally would.
Wow. My mind is blown.
And you know what else? So you know what else is really important, Debbie? That I think it's so important that we look at our society as a whole, and at no point are we ever taught about money. Like, money is never really taught to us in school unless we're learning how to add, money together in maths. But we're not really taught about how to invest or the terms around it, or like you said, insurance.
Yeah. I mean, the
spending.
home economics class doesn't exist anymore.
But even for me, and I grew up in the United States, home economics was like cooking and sewing.
And sewing,
it wasn't. I loved those classes, actually. I thought they were fun, but they didn't include money management. So that was,
Or budgeting.
Right.
Yeah, I think in Australia, like, so much of budgeting has to happen. Like, the family has to become responsible for teaching our kids about budgeting. But so many of us don't even know how to work to a budget or how to manage our own finances. And I'm always amazed as well with speaking to people, how they can have a business and they understand how the money is a bloodline to their business, and they're very good at managing the money within their business. But then in their personal life, it's a mess. And it's like they don't understand that money is also the bloodline kind of to provide and support and have that security for your family. And yet there's no budget, there's no like relooking at your finances either weekly or fortnightly or monthly. Like, so many people have got no idea of how much money is actually coming in and how much money, or where they're even spending their money, or how they're using their money, or like you said, like what their beliefs are around money that's possibly sabotaging their ability to create more security.
Correct. I'll also say that many people, women entrepreneurs, they have, and probably with men as well, they understand how the money's coming into their business. But I work with people who, one of my clients says her VA gets paid more than she does, and she has a successful 6-figure business, but she's not paying herself. So she understands full well how the money's coming in, but she's not taking care of herself. Everybody else gets paid first, and she's left with, the leftovers. And I have another client, and he has a very successful 6-figure business, like, close to 7 figures. And he also isn't paying himself properly and getting into debt and having high interest fees. So it's both women and men. They can bring the money in to their business, but then even in their business, they're not managing their money
Yeah.
properly. So, but I love to say that our business is here to serve our personal life. Our personal life is not here to serve our business. So if you're overworking in your business, spending too much time, not getting paid, and I'm not talking about like the first year, maybe the first 2 years, where a lot of times whatever we come in goes right back out because we have to keep reinvesting in our business to get it to grow. But afterwards, you've got to start taking some money home and making sure that it can pay your bills. There's got to be a switch over at some point.
Yeah, definitely. So true, especially on the online and, entrepreneur world. There are so many people, and especially women, that have these businesses, and they're giving everything they've got to it, and they're, giving a lot, or I don't want to say the word sacrificing, but they're spending a lot of their personal time and family time and their energy and resources and not getting a lot back. And you hear these stories all the time, and women kind of trying to figure out, well, do I just stop? Do I give it up? Am I just kidding myself? Maybe if I put more time in, maybe if I get a better coach.
It's
Yeah,
entrepreneurial poverty.
it is.
That's an interesting term. I like that. Ooh.
It is, though. There is a
I
real.
don't like it, but I like it, but I don't like it, but I like it.
But no, I see exactly what you're saying, because there is, and it carries over into our personal lives as well as professional, whether we're business owners or not. It's like an identity of poverty. You said it before, Debbie, it's living in scarcity, even if we have money, having that belief that there's never enough of anything, and that can carry over into so many different areas, and money's a really big one.
Yeah, yeah, and I do believe that when women stop hiring all of the branding coaches and this coach and that coach, but they really find out what's going on and what their beliefs are about money, and they can feel that confidence that comes with standing in their worth and knowing that they're worthy, because that's where we get caught up, is when we don't feel deserving and we don't feel worthy for whatever went on. I worked with a client recently, and the guilt trips that she got from her mother and the things that went wrong and whatever, and she's just feeling this huge emptiness inside of her. It keeps us spinning, and everything's on a spectrum. I mean, some people had a really tough, childhood and parents and whatever, and some people just had it different, but also are feeling unworthy and they don't deserve. And when we can figure out what's going on underneath, and we can really release those stubborn inner blocks to making money, because earning money is all a reflection of how worthy we feel. When you can earn a lot, it's because what I call your financial thermostat is set at a high level to earn money. And when you feel more worthy, then you will be able to save more, and you'll be able to invest it. But there has to be that underlying feeling of I'm worthy and I'm deserving, and I own that. I'm stepping up and I'm owning it. But we feel like, oh, this coach is going to help me and that coach is going to help me. And then we stay spinning because we don't feel worthy. We don't do the work. Like whatever. There's so many online programs out there about how to get your business to go forward. You do it. Some people say webinars. Some people say funnels. Some people, there's 100 different strategies out there. And people buy these programs, and I'm sure all the programs are wonderful. I mean, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. All the programs are wonderful. All the programs will get you there. But so many people buy these programs and don't do the work, because inside they're in confusion. They're in doubt. They're feeling unworthy. They spend their days scrolling on Facebook, figuring out what everybody else is doing, instead of staying in their lane and doing the work and feeling worth, and moving forward step by step. But it comes from that inner feeling that everybody else is good, I'm not worthy, I can't do this, I don't have confidence, what's everybody going to say about me, I can't be visible. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah,
Wow.
there really is. And I think one of the big things that goes on as well is that we believe that everyone else has the secret. And we just don't know about it. And if we just knew it, then, you know, we could move forward too. And there's that constant, and I think that's
Oh,
where
Verity,
breaking the wheel comes in.
if I
You know,
had all
it's that
the
whole
secrets for manifesting,
side.
all of the manifesting courses out there in the world, oh my goodness.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? So Debbie, one of the things that I really loved about your work that really got me was this whole like, and you've mentioned this before, this idea that taking care of our money was a self-love practice. And I love all things self-love. But I'd never ever thought until I heard you talking about it. And it was in your amazing program, the 1K Investor, that it just clicked for me that looking after my money was a form of self-love. And I just had never, ever kind of drawn that conclusion before. And it just was such a powerful realization to me that it wasn't something that I feared. It wasn't a chore. It wasn't a burden, but it was a part of my self-love. And I loved that. Can you tell us a bit more about the 1K Investor? Because you've just released a book about this, haven't you?
Yes, I did earlier this year. So I have the book, The 1K Investor, which is available on Amazon, and I have a course called The 1K Investor online, which is available, and we can put the link in the show notes.
Definitely.
And I really, as I said, I want women. I'm passionate about helping women, and men could also buy the courses. You know, I'm not. There's no cart question that says, "Are you a man? You can't buy this." um, Again, when people think so much in the moment, they think that if I don't want to nix all of the massage therapists, the massage, masseurs, whatever out there, they go for a massage, they get their nails done, they buy a new blouse, like that's taking care of themselves. But you know what? Money causes so much stress. The American Psychological Association says like more than 70% of the population suffers from financial anxiety and financial stress. So wouldn't it be amazing to know that you have this beautiful safety net, this beautiful buffer, this beautiful like investment that's going to grow for you, that's going to take care of you in your future? Or if you want to send your kids to university, if you want to upgrade your house, buy a bigger house, like when you have this gorgeous pot of wealth, it's there to take care of you and to reduce the stress. Like what better self-care is that? Like we think that we go and buy a new pair of yoga pants that, we're going to be like that. That's the best thing in the world. But you know what? That's just a quick dopamine hit. We feel great about it for the moment, and then we don't feel great about it. We just go back to the same feelings of stress. But when you know that you are supported and taken care of by your money on a deep, deep level, then you can have that peace of mind, that elusive peace of mind that everybody wants, right?
It's so true. And I remember this other really, really beautiful aha moment that you gave me. And it was this idea of like, we have this fear of investing, like you said, that the terminology and the lingo, and we're like, oh my God, I don't even know what that word means. And we feel like investments, like we always think about men being in those kind of roles. And yet I remember you making this really gorgeous statement that every single day, whenever we buy something, we're investing. And we make so many bad small investments. Like there's clothes and shoes in our wardrobes that we've never worn. That's about investment. And yet, we could buy an amazing holiday and love every second of it. Like that's a good investment. And that for me really started to help me break down this idea that I invest every single day financially, whether it's in my wardrobe, whether it's feeding my children, whether it's paying my mortgage, like where I'm choosing to put my money. Like it just helped to break down, I guess, that fear of this idea or concept about investing at even a bigger level. And it made me feel so much more capable of going, my God, like this is something I'm actually capable of doing as a woman and being really empowered by it. But even now, like, someone will buy something and I'll always think of you and I'm like, you're actually going to wear that because otherwise it's a bad investment.
That's great. That's great. Because again, we use money, we buy things to self-soothe. It's the same thing as with food. We're feeling, and you know, I'm raising my hand here. I do it as well. I'm feeling like, you know, I'm feeling self-doubt about my business because I'm an entrepreneur. I go up and down. I ride the roller coaster every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. And and I can find myself in the kitchen as well, looking, you know, going through the cupboards, what's, you know, because I want to feel good and I don't want to face the feelings and I don't want to feel that lack of, you know, that insecurity. So I'm also a work in progress. We will always be a work in progress, every single one of us. But the more awareness I can bring to what I'm doing and just stop and take a deep breath and feel the feelings. And that's also like, we don't want to feel the feelings. There are sometimes they're really hard feelings, or we don't want to notice what's going on. And, you know, as you said with the, you know, if you buy something that's going to sit in your wardrobe, like really get behind what's underneath that. Like, why am I buying this? I'm not saying you should, you know, live with nothing in your wardrobe, but are you buying it because you need it? Are you buying it because you want it? Both of those are valid reasons. Or are you buying it because, you know, your partner yelled at you, because you had a client who didn't renew her coaching agreement with you, because you had a launch for something and it didn't go well? Like, what are you buying for? Are you buying it so that whatever you're buying is going to honor you in a deep way, or are you buying it because you're not feeling so good about yourself? And that's always the wrong way to buy things.
It's so true. I know for myself, one of the things that I like to buy is freedom. And in that way, it could be something as much as like a really stunning makeup palette. And it's just the fact that I can buy it because it's pretty. And then I get this feeling of freedom. Like I can buy it because I just can. Instead of going, well, you know what, freedom is also having money saving up in the bank. Freedom
Yeah.
is also like having a really great investment plan and knowing that my money is working for me. And so freedom, you know, it really, for me, helps me to be able to sit down and challenge myself and just make that more aware or conscious purchasing or just being a more conscious purchaser, I suppose, of why am I purchasing this? And is this really the choice that I want to make? Is this really how I want to buy my freedom? Or, you know, is more, you know, about saving for, you know, my future financial freedom? And so, yeah, I really love what you say there. It's so important for us to really be in tune with ourselves, especially as women. And, you know, most women are pretty intuitive, even if they don't believe they are. So to be able to kind of like tap into that and to be able to be more empowered around our choices and to question ourselves and to kind of, you know, dig and dive that bit deeper into why we behave the way that we do, why we make the purchases we do, is just so important.
Oh, yeah.
I totally agree. And something popped into my head when you said freedom, right? And you like that feeling of freedom. So one of the mantras that I love about money is money speeds things up. And if you think about the way you can use money in your life, not to self-soothe, but to speed things up, because, you know, money can buy you, let's think about it, can buy you valet parking. Do you have that concept in Australia? Right? Instead of going to find your own parking space, you have someone who will do it for you. So you can, you know, you can have someone to park your car for you. Money can buy you this is great. I was once reading about the granddaughter of Walt Disney. I don't remember her name anymore. This is many months ago. And she, if I'm not mistaken, could be somebody else. Oops. Scratch that. Anyway, let's think about, it might not be her, but anyway, let's think about for the moment flying a private airplane. Okay, like this is someone who has a lot of money. And this is how I love to think about it. You can fly economy class, you can fly business class, you can fly first class. Now everybody who's flying that airplane has to go to the airport, has to go through passport control, or, you know, depending on where you're going, and has to wait for the plane, board the plane, get off, wait for the luggage. I mean, if you're in first class, so your luggage will come first. So you see how money can speed things up, and you can also get to the gate later. You get to go to the lounge and have some nice food and drinks and whatever. So that will speed things up because you don't have to have so much time at the airport. But imagine if you could fly a private plane. You don't even have to go through passport control. You can just like show up on the plane, and the plane takes off and goes, and you can get, you know, a journey that might take 5 or 6 hours can take half the time because you don't have the waiting on either end.
Yeah.
And then, but there are little times in our life also where money can speed things up. You can think about, sending your clothes out to the dry cleaner instead of doing them yourselves, or hiring someone to clean your house so you don't have to do it yourself. And it's a way that you can speed up the cleaning of your house, the ironing of your clothes, so you don't have to do them. And you also take money and you pass it on and you share it with other people. You know, money is cash flow. It comes in and it goes out. And we also have to feel safe to let money flow through us. It's like a river. You know, the money goes, I quite like the idea of flow. If we have a dam, usually the water that's in the dam will become full of bacteria and it'll be brackish and it won't be healthy water. We want the water to keep flowing, and we want the money to keep flowing as well. That's not an excuse for not investing for your future, by the way, but it's okay. It's okay to pay people to do things for us and to share our wealth and to speed things up in our life. That's like a wonderful use of money.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That is amazing, because earlier this year, my partner and I were able to hire a cleaner in our house, and it was one of the biggest money mindset hurdles I think I have ever had to deal with. It threw me off so much. You know, we sat there and we were so excited to have it done. And I was like, oh yeah, it's going to save me so much time. And for like the first couple of times that they visited, I was like, I don't know what to do with this extra like 4 hours a week that I have now. It's really strange. But one of the things that really got me through was thinking, hey, I'm providing employment to people who really like what they do. Like, we met the cleaner, we got to know them, and we're like, yeah, we're giving employment to people who love their job. They love this stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're helping them provide for their families and the lifestyles that they want. And that was a really great moment to be like, yeah, we're doing something good, and I get a clean house.
Isn't that amazing? Look how money can be used to take care of people, and how money can be used to honor other people and respect other people. And it's such a wonderful thing. And even if you are living a more abundant life and you have a larger house and you have gorgeous things in your house, like, you're also paying the craftsman who made these. Let's say you have an antique, right? You have like an antique piece of furniture that was hand carved, or, you know, we can let our minds go, but you're also honoring them and their gifts and what they brought to the world. And you're sharing wealth. And it's such a wonderful thing to do. And even if your house is bigger and it needs beautiful tiles on the floor, like, that came from somewhere. Somebody's doing the work. And it's wonderful to be able to support other people in the world. We don't have to keep it all to ourselves.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yes. And I remember hearing a while ago, and I will have to find the actual study on this, but there's evidence that says that when women are wealthier, and this is a big argument for hiring virtual assistants if you do have a business, is to hire the women, because the women are the ones who share the wealth around the community, whereas men, if they're in a, let's say, a poverty circumstance, are more likely to spend money on things like alcohol and drugs and things that sort of give an immediate relief to the situation rather than a longevity, you know, a long-term prosperity.
Interesting. Yeah, I would love to see statistics on that. And that also goes very much, it's very much in alignment with the way I see money. Like, when I earn more money, like, we have a practice in our family that we tithe our money. We give it at least 10% of our money to charitable causes to support other people. And tomorrow night, it just so happens, there's a big fundraiser that I participate in every year for needy brides in Israel. And I give my time and I give my money. And it's so much a part of my mindset that it's not just for me, but I can help other people. So the more I earn, that 10%, or, you know, sometimes it's 12 or 15%, there's more people that I can support. So isn't that another beautiful reason to earn money? So I can help, because women are like that. We serve with our heart. So if I can help more people by earning more money, isn't that great?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
It is. It's so powerful. I absolutely love it. And Debbie, you still have your 5-day mini makeover, mini money makeover.
Tongue twister.
It is a tongue twister. So
Yes,
do
I
you
do.
you do? And how does that work for people? How can people get a hold of that and to jump into some sort of immediate, like get a really great taste for the work that you do and what they'll actually really get exposed to?
So we'll put the link in the show notes, and it's my 5-day mini money makeover. I don't even remember the link offhand. Oops.
That's
And
okay. It's in the show notes.
that's great. So you will get 5 emails, like one after the other, which give you some aha moments around money. So you can see how money is showing up in your life and how you're managing money and dealing with your money. And hopefully you'll get a little bit of awareness that will inspire you to do something different. Look at it and say, oh, maybe this isn't working for me. And I want to say money is a journey. We started by talking about insurance, then we moved on to investment, and then we also mentioned budgeting. There, as I said in the beginning, there's so many different ways that money touches our life. Like really, from the day we're born until the day we die, money is part of our lives. Whether it's the clothes we buy, the education for ourselves, for our children, the quality of the food that we buy, where we live, so much of our life is touched by money that we don't have to do it all in one day, right? There's sometimes this impatience that I have to just get it done. But, little changes, little tweaks, little baby steps to dealing with money. I mean, one of the things that I love is suggesting that people just read 10 minutes a day, learn something new about money. If you're thinking about investing, like, do you know what a stock is? Just Google what is a stock, right? So that you're like, oh, like you see a term on an advertisement or a billboard and you type it up into your Google and say, what is APR, right? So annual percentage rate, so that you start learning and developing the vocabulary. Like you said, if we had learned it in school, it would be so much easier. We wouldn't have the resistance, but that's not what the reality is. Maybe in one day we will. So read, sign up for this email course and read one thing a day and think about it and make tweaks and make changes and realize that money is a journey. You have today and tomorrow, but the best time to start is today. It would have been better yesterday, but if you didn't do it yesterday,
Today is the best time to start.
exactly. There's no time like the present. So get going and there's no shame. I think that was another thing when I made that big investment, oops. Like there was like, I love talking about it because I want to unshame money. We all make
Yeah.
mistakes. We all do stupid things with our money, and it's not even stupid things, because if we had had a different education, if we had known better, if we were aware of our money story and our money lineage and where that came from, we would have done things different, but we couldn't. And I just love, like, Brene Brown, her whole, she's a shame researcher, right? And like when you start talking about things, the shame dissolves. Like, I talk to everybody and tell them I lost $50,000. Some people would hide, bury their head in the sand and hide that. But if I can talk about it, it unshames other people's money mistakes.
Oh
And
my
they're like,
gosh,
oh,
it
So
absolutely
true.
does.
Yeah, and I think that's what we so sort of value having you on this podcast, is because that's the whole point of the podcast. Good girls don't podcast, good girls don't talk, good girls don't share, good girls don't admit I don't want to say the word failures because I don't really believe in the word failure, but, the things that trip us up and little mistakes that we've made. And like you said, because we didn't have the tools at the time, but being able to have a platform where we can talk about these things and share our stories, I think it's such a powerful way that we can combat the shame and we can combat the criticism and the judgment that we have for ourselves, and have step more into compassion and more into collaboration and more into empowering not just ourselves but each other as well, and opening up these conversations so that more of us have awareness, more of us are learning. And the more that we're all learning, then the more we're all empowered. We're all growing and expanding. And, whether that's to do with self love, whether that has to do with money, like, it's so important. And we all get the benefit from it.
Heck yeah, it's a massive communal effort here.
Yeah, but we're only really benefiting, like you said, Debbie, like when we learn to drop the shame around our own story and we have the courage and the motivation and the inspiration, of our own story and be able to share that with other people.
Agreed. 100%. 150% even.
So,
Woohoo! We even got
so
the
you-
extra 50.
Yes. So you've got the free 5-day mini money makeover, and you've also got the 1K investor. Have you got any other ways that our listeners are able to work with you?
So the listeners can reach out to me for a consult, and you can go onto my website and you can book a consult with me. And I have also a membership program, which I launched a couple of months ago, called the Abundance Accelerators. And that is really it's new, but the feedback from the members is fantastic, because we start off with an 8-week kickoff. We're doing some deep diving into our money stories and our feelings about money, using EFT tapping to release and dissolve them. And when I get feedback, like one of the members is saying, wow, she can really see herself now working a 3-day work week. Like, she's increasing her income and she can really vision that possibility in her life. And that's amazing. So we're doing a lot of the emotional work, and the membership, because it's, you can pay by the month or pay by the year, but we will also be talking about the very practical stuff, about the insurance, about the investment, about budgeting. We're going to deal with it all, but I just love the fact that we can kick off and do this amazing tapping and emotional and understanding where our money comes from, and feeling deserving of earning money and making money and building wealth, because I'm all about building wealth and putting more money into the hands of women.
I absolutely love it, Debbie, and I just absolutely adore the work that you do. And there are so many women out there who talk so highly of you. So we're grateful to have you here today and just sharing your experiences and your wisdom and your knowledge with us. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun.
Oh, it's been glorious. Thank you.
Hey, if you want to continue this conversation, head over to our Facebook page and be part of the revolution. You can find us at Good Girls Don't Podcast on Facebook. Please note, we cannot create change alone. Your support, likes, comments, shares, and iTunes reviews help us give a voice to the insanely inspirational women and the controversial issues that we discuss.
If you'd like to be a part of our podcast, or if you have an issue that you have a burning desire for us to bring into the light, please contact us. With fierceness, Ashley
And Verity.
Get ready for the rain.